Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, good morning, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local. St. Louis's favorite early morning live financial show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. Our offices are located in beautiful, still, sun's not all the way out, downtown Olivet, Missouri. I'm a 40-plus year veteran of the financial services area, a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager. And I'm joined by my crew today, my oldest favorite prodigal daughter, Aaron Lapidus, who is a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager, and Robert Markham, our insurance specialist.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by writing a game plan, a step-by-step strategy, a real game plan that has several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one that they can count on, so they can do all the things they'd like to do during retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to supplement their medical coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be. Well, Uncle Sam or the tax court's taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Aaron and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches.
So nice to see you this morning, Dad.
So nice to be awake and to be seen. Thank you. 7 a.m., we're 2 hours early. We're going to be the same next week.
No, next week I think we're regular time. I don't think Mizzou plays in the morning.
I think you didn't read the email.
I'm going to defer to you, as I've been here on time 2 weeks in a row.
I like that.
Right.
I was here.
Seniority through attendance.
I hate to break it to you, honey. I was here for 500 and some shows before that on time, so thank you.
500.
In either case, as you can tell, we're live and local, and our jokes aren't so great because it's still at 7 a.m. in the morning. But give us a call. We'd love to hear from you, right?
Absolutely. And, we had a few people email and call the office yesterday to make sure that they knew the time because of the Mizzou game. So it's really nice to know that we have many dedicated listeners out there.
Absolutely.
That they want to wake up at 7 a.m. to hear our voices.
And you know what we want to do? We want to hear their voices.
That's
so
right.
Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877.
Or 84126 from the text line.
Very good, exactly.
There are many ways that people can keep in touch with us, especially if they miss our early morning show, by logging onto our website, jblfinancial.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you can click on the Contact Us section, send us an email, ask us a question, request a coaching session, whatever you would like. Even if you have a couple of questions that we might answer during the show, I do check my email, so you have some questions, you can submit them that way. In the lower left-hand side of the screen, there's a pop-up box that appears, and it says Sign Up, and that is to get access to our monthly newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner. And, we're almost at the end of September. Can you believe? One more week.
Time goes quickly when you're having fun.
It does. So I thought we would do a final review of the newsletter, maybe catch a few people that hadn't heard what these excellent topics are for the week.
And there are 4 every single issue.
That's right. How are 401k plan participants investing their money? And this just is a breakdown of the different types of securities that can be used inside of a 401k and the allocation that the majority of participants are using, which pretty much above and beyond are the target date funds, the index funds, and the actively managed funds. Then, and I think the reason for that is that's usually available across almost all 401k plans, whereas some of these other options like company stock, actively managed domestic bond and index funds, or self-directed brokerage accounts, which means you can choose individual securities inside of your 401k, aren't necessarily offered or widespreadly offered. Also, many of those have additional charges for you.
Yeah, set it and forget it is easy.
Right. That's what those target date and life cycle funds really represent.
Absolutely.
The next is, how much life insurance do you need? And luckily we have Rob here today, and we're going to get into one of the aspects of this article, which is the family needs approach to securing a specific amount of life insurance.
Very good.
The next question, which is, I think, a great topic to review, and we're also going to get to something similar to this in today's show, which is passive management, active management, or both. What type of investment strategy are you utilizing? Are you utilizing both? Some of the advantages and disadvantages of those.
Yeah, are you doing it on purpose or just incidentally? That's something important to consider. And as you know, in our planning, or our investment planning, we like to use both of them.
Absolutely. And the final is building financial resilience, which I think has quite a bit to do with feeling comfortable with your financial position regardless of what the market is doing. And that doesn't mean feeling happy necessarily, but it means, maybe we're not as happy as last year, but you're still comfortable where you are.
Yes, very good. So those are 4 topics. Erin and her staff do keep the last 6 to 8 months of those archived for reviewing, printing, or downloading convenience. And I'd like to tell you next week, but it isn't next week. We'll be getting very close to the end of September and a new October newsletter.
Well, next Saturday, do you know what next Saturday is?
It's another radio show. Honey.
It's October 1st. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
I wish it were, because that's when we can start talking about those new Medicare plans. But I have a better
announcement. What did she have for breakfast? She's like the time tunnel today.
You know what? Frank will be joining us next Saturday. I was just setting you up for a joke.
Oh, I see. Well, the joke was on you.
I know. Rob looked right at me like, what? Not. No.
It's too early for that.
You got to practice a little more. Honey.
That's fine. It doesn't matter, because we received a text from our favorite listener and president of our fan club, who happens to be out in Wisconsin right now, and luckily her husband missed your golf game yesterday.
Yeah, well, he doesn't play 2 days in a row, so he automatically misses it.
Oh, fair enough.
He doesn't. He doesn't like to play 2 days in a row.
He works, I heard.
Yes, he does. So what did he say? What'd she say?
She said, enjoying the father-daughter banter from Northwoods of Wisconsin from your favorite listener and president of your fan club.
That's beautiful, and I know that president, they have some new property up there, which is kind of fun.
Well, that is fun.
It's good for them, which is
never been, but I've heard it's beautiful.
It's a fun story we're going to talk about one of these days.
Cool.
Which is great, and we're always having fun on the show. We try to. At the same time, I would be remiss in not mentioning 2 things.
What's that?
Number 1 is all of our clients are folks like you. They're our listeners. They're 55 and older. They're getting ready to retire, or they're already retired. And as Erin mentioned, we create a game plan for them that have the goals of creating a fun and hopefully financially secure retirement, which is easy. The second thing I would be remiss in not mentioning is that things didn't go too well in the financial markets last week. We had about a 5% retracement of that. I don't even know what you want to call it. To me, it's a bear market bounce, or it's starting to look like a bear market bounce. And we're back to broke the 900 level yesterday on the S&P 500,
with ease.
which is one of our benchmarks.
Mm-hmm.
We know that we're very close to what we call a resistance level. Not fun.
Nope.
No, it isn't. And this really brings me up to the point, and frankly, people could say timing, but the truth is, have you rebalanced your portfolio? Have you let the market do it for you? Or have you rebalanced your portfolio? When you're out of balance, it creates excess risk.
And that was bound to happen in many people's portfolios over the previous 2 years simply because of the fantastic growth on the equity side of the market. And when interest rates were held so low, bond yields were still incredibly low compared to the return of equities. So a lot of people ended up a little bit or a lot out of balance.
Yeah, we're approaching. We've hit the negative 20% again,
right,
with the S&P 500. And the truth is that if you don't rebalance your portfolio, you don't capture the gains. It's like sitting at a table at the casino, watching the money pile up and watching it go down. No one to
don't
hold
want to
them.
see that.
No one. It isn't really no one to fold them, which is not the full tent. But the truth is that if you don't realize gains, they're not real. That's why they call them unrealized gains.
Unrealized.
And if you do need the money to supplement your income, or you need funds to do projects or other matters, it's really difficult sometimes to determine when do you sell. And that's why I think that having a mechanical approach, rebalancing like we do, it's at 2 times a year, certainly puts you in a position where you can do a little bit of cash flow planning, and also you're not then being driven maybe by what I like to call animal spirits. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that rebalancing does satisfy certain goals, right? It keeps your portfolio in line with your risk tolerance. Obviously, you're also capturing gains. You can be creating income for capital consumption purposes or current income needs. But also you can do a couple other things. You can tactically rebalance your portfolio. I know that we, earlier this year, we had seen and witnessed and watched a little bit the change in the movement from growth to value, away from the high-flying tech stocks. And they're flying right now, but they're flying in the wrong direction, unfortunately, right?
Like nosedive.
Yes. It's sort of they're kamikazing right now. And we're really moving towards the other side, which is the
banks, insurance companies, dividend-paying stocks,
oil
fertilizers,
etc.
Fertilizer
chemicals.
companies.
It all feels like fertilizer right now, etc. But, the importance is that when you're rebalancing, you're adding a mechanical mechanism into your investment planning. What you're actually doing is you're beginning to take the emotion out of that. It's about having rules. When you have rules and you follow your own rules, you stick by them, you have an opportunity to be a better long-term investor. So the nice thing our clients know is they know what our rules are. We're very clear about those. We stick by our rules. And what happens is that we think that what that should do, and we're hopeful that it does, is create more consistent returns over a long period of time, right? That's really what it's all about.
There are also a few other things. Like one thing I would definitely mention is I know I've heard from many clients this past year that they paid a lot of capital gains last year, either through their funds or they made some sales of highly appreciated stock and they're paying capital gains. This might be a way to help you offset last year a little bit. You might be able to harvest some losses potentially if you're using an after-tax account, of course.
That reminds me of a song.
Does it now?
That you enjoyed when you were little.
Is this the Titanic? They built the ship Titanic?
It was sad. Right? That's the truth. So sad. It's funny is that, right,
these are the songs that he would sing to me as a child about the Titanic sinking.
The great ship went down. Right. But, it's really funny because when you think about it,
upset about making money.
You're upset about having capital gains. The big issue, especially last year for many folks that had gains in their non-retirement accounts, was that we weren't in a position to withhold taxes initially, because really the capital gains aren't generally declared until December during the year.
Right.
And then it's called, well, what do I got to sell? But we had a discussion about this a couple of weeks ago with somebody and a new client. And so what we recommended to them was, well, if we get fortunate, probably not this year, but if we get fortunate to have this happen in the future, doesn't it maybe make sense to have those dividends and capital gains, long or short term, turned into cash instead of reinvested?
You pay taxes regardless.
That's right. So it's sitting there. This lady didn't. What's funny is this lady didn't need the money or the growth of those dollars to, help her, assist her in her retirement income needs. So guess what? She also didn't have a lot of cash sitting around, and many folks don't, unlike your mother. Okay, so
That's great.
You're like, you don't even know the half of it.
Trust me, I'm glad to know just half of it. Okay,
Right? Exactly.
So
she tells you just enough.
I double it. So whatever she says, I double it.
And add some.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, your mom, she's I love her. She's just wonderful. But it's funny is when you talk about somebody would stuff money in their mattress. I mean, your mom has like a 3-story building. That's her deal. The investment advisors' wives are just the worst, but she is a great. She's a wonderful person. She's a great cook. She's the mother of my 2 wonderful cannibal children. So thank you.
She's just saving some for us in the form of cash.
She's a wonderful person. What can I tell you? But again, adding a little planning to the process of investing, whether it's rebalancing, etc. Trying to plan for cash flow events. That's kind of an important thing as well. If you do that, what will happen is that I believe anyways, is that these ups and downs that we see in the market, and right now we're in the downs, okay? We could be in further downs. Nobody knows. But I think we still have further downs to be looking at this point. Don't see the catalysts showing up to take us back up at this moment.
I see some catalysts for the other direction.
Yeah. Etc. And we've talked a little bit about these in the past, but it's the same time. What we're saying here is that you'll be safe if you have your vault full. You'll feel safer if you have your cash flow that you need for the next 6 months on the side, waiting to draw, so that we can really make our way through this. And with folks that we're visiting with, and we see our clients literally
once every 3 months.
Exactly. But what's that, the ones that we're seeing currently, they all have the same question. One lady we saw yesterday, she said, Jeff, do I have to go back to work?
Oh.
So I kind of laughed. I'm like, I'm glad you changed your meds, honey, but no, you don't have to go back to work.
Goodness gracious.
Exactly. It was like, no, you don't have to go back to work. Here was our game plan, and we really reviewed. What was neat is that on our client internet account review, called Account View, where they can review their accounts. We also can go back historically from when they started with us and showing them the trend, what happened, what they put in versus, what they've withdrawn, and also what their account values are. And in almost to a person, what's really happened here is that we're seeing that for folks that have been with us for 1, 2, 3 years, etc., we're giving back gains. We're not going into a portfolio, which is painful, because once you earn it, you think you own it, but
it's unrealized.
It's unrealized. That's right. Even though we realized gains at the end of last year, we attempted to. We didn't realize all the gains.
Right. But when you're also, that leads us back to the rebalancing conversation, which is when you are rebalancing, you are capturing some of those gains. And like you said, Dad, it's not necessary to capture every single gain. Most people don't. You want to help. Like, I think about it as a boulder rolling down the hill, and it's picking things up as it goes. You want the boulder to stay a decent size so it can continue to grow, like an economy of scale. But also, if you're a person that is taking income, you want to put a chunk of that aside for your monthly income. We like to look at it in 6 month intervals, but during some of our more turbulent times like COVID and like now, we're thinking about it in 1 year intervals, always with the opportunity to pull back a little bit, and by pull back meaning get reinvested when it's time.
Yes, exactly. So I think that was good, and that's just a little bit of a comment. I think what we should do is take our first break of the hour.
Let's do it.
We'll be back to answer your text messages at 84126 or your phone calls at 314-931-5877. Wake up. We're here. We'd love to see you, and we'll be back right after these messages.
Hey, KTRS listeners, Roger Wigginton here at Don Rogers Limited, 6727 West Main in Belleville. Well, if early fall sales are any indication of how the season is going to be, it's going to be a great season. Our customers are really responding to our great assortment, wonderful styling, beautiful fabrications. And gals, I want to tell you about a pant that we just got in from Tribal. It's a fine whale corduroy with a European pull-on waist in 5 colors. The fit is unbelievable. And it goes back with all of our great sweaters from Charlie B, Lulu B, Renoir, Tribal, and Ethel. The store looks incredible. We are literally getting in shipments every day of menswear, ladies sportswear, dresses. It's filling up so quick, but the customers love what they are seeing. And as always, park at the door, walk in, get waited on. We're open Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 4. We'd love to see you. As always, thank you so very much for listening to our commercial.
Hey, nothing more fun than showing off something new you did to your house. But, if it's your roof, it's a little tough to say, hey, climb up this ladder and get a look at this. But you know what? If weather has its way with your home, it'll destroy things on the inside. All of a sudden, your big investment becomes a big problem. Protect it. Allen Roofing has done so for hundreds. No, change that. Thousands of St. Louisans. Of course, they got a 50-year head start on the new guys, but they will take care of that and anything you can see from your driveway. If it's your gutter, if it's your downspout, if it's tuck pointing, all of that work they can tend to. For a whole new roof or just a little corner of it, just a side job, they treat everything like you're the only customer that they've ever had. It's why people come back, and it's why 50 years later, we still talk about them. Allen Roofing and Siding online at aroofing.net.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
I'll put them through the paper.
We're back here on Straight Talk on Retirement. Phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. When we are. No, of course we wouldn't, right? 314-931-5877. Ms. Oldest daughter slow on the uptick. Text line 8.
It's only 7:30.
84126. And I did receive confirmation.
From whom? Of what?
You.
About?
Next week. Don't confuse our listeners. Listen to the old man.
7 a.m. start.
Okay, but I would just like
welcome.
I would just like to point out the
That's
most.
a family joke.
I would just like to point out the most important part of that comment, which is that I admitted that I was incorrect.
Yeah.
Admitting you have a problem is the first step.
Exactly.
The second step is getting out of my chair. Thank you.
Never is now my chair. I don't know what you're talking about. You are in your chair.
I'm literally at the end of the
You're a high
table
chair
here, and I feel like I'm at the kids' table. I'm serious.
You're in your high chair. It's good.
You're right. I'm going to have to change the chair in this so I could have like a captain's chair thing,
We'll get you a
Then I could
Batman
feel like
logo
I'm
that
at
you
the-
could put on
I'm
the
at
back.
the head of the. I'll bring my own. I'm at the
I'll
head of
bring
the
my
table.
own.
Thank you. Again, the phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the Aaron-controlled text line.
That's right.
So Let's talk a little bit about a coaching session that we had last week. I thought it was fun. Rob joined me. Aaron was out drinking somewhere, which is
Out drinking?
yeah, you're getting a drink, ginger ale,
Oh, okay.
Dr. Pepper, something like that.
Just
Jim
enjoying life.
Jim and Kelly, these are new people that are fictitious people that came to see us.
These are new fictitious people.
Well, we have to change the names to protect the innocent.
Indeed.
They happen to be the grown children of current clients, which is fun, and we love to embrace those folks. Next generation would it be? And while they might not be near retirement, because at this point they were in their mid 40s, they soon, and they do actually need some, and they actually sought us out for some insurance advice.
They did. And James and Kelly just recently bought their first home. Exciting times for them, no doubt. And now that they have...
And the bank, of course.
Yes.
The bank is happy.
The bank cheers from the sidelines. Now that they have a sizable debt obligation, they wanted to protect themselves. God forbid something unfortunate or unplanned should happen. And they were interested in insurance protection, but being that they're just getting their financial feet under them in their new home, they really couldn't afford a big premium.
Well, interesting enough, funny is that after 40 years, I can tell you, Rob, nobody can afford a big premium.
Nobody wants to afford
and they would afford not to. So the real question was, based on where they are in their life cycle, okay, starting off, etc., based on their cash flow needs and obligations, because they had grandchildren. They had our clients' grandchildren. They were also bringing up, and which is why they had to move, need bigger housing. What options did you research, and what was available to them that you felt might make some sense?
I thought, given what they were trying to accomplish and the limitations on their income, the many pulls on it, I thought the best route would be to go with 2 20-year convertible level term insurance policies.
Okay, that sounds good. And so these policies, the face amount was going to be based on their outstanding obligation, paying off that mortgage amount. Is that correct?
Correct. And leaving some little bit of extra money left over just in case, FYI, in case of emergency. So it would have a $400,000 face amount and the ability to convert into a permanent policy in the future.
I think that's really important because there are some term contracts that are not convertible, which means going to a fixed premium, either universal life or whole life policy. But at the same time, I know that when you're looking at these, and certainly something that I taught you to do, which was we want to look at and make sure that that company that we're converting to also had quality contracts, so that should they decide they want to retain a portion of that coverage after this fixed obligation, i.e. the mortgage period was done, if they wanted to do that, that it would be something that they would be happy and happy with their purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to give them the choice to be able to move to something permanent if that option was attractive to them, and if they didn't want it, at least they'd have the option. So I thought that was great. And because James and Kelly are in their late 30s, early 40s, I was able to quote a 20-year convertible term insurance policy for only $300 a year for Kelly and $430 a year for James. That's $800,000 of coverage for less than $750 a year.
Woohoo!
That
was it?
Absolutely. You're practicing. I think that's good.
I've been. Rob appreciates.
You need to get the excitement part there, though, which is great.
Well, before we move on, I had a quick
honey.
question. The reason that you and Rob discussed what the permanent contracts were like at the company Rob was selecting for the term insurance is because if you're converting to the same company with your term, you don't have to go through underwriting again. Is that correct? But if you end up wanting to look elsewhere, you're going to have to go through underwriting again.
Right.
Absolutely. And, at this point, they're in their 30s, so they're immortal. So what happens is when they, when we're talking about them being in their 50s, when their situation to convert, do they really want it? Could their health have changed? Okay.
Right.
And for many folks, it can. Look, today their non-smoker preferred rates. Well, we hope they're preferred. But what happens if they gain weight, diabetes, whatever it would be,
Right.
heart issues, etc.? That can make it very expensive and even put them in a position where if they have to go out and get new coverage, they could be paying not just an extra premium, but an excess premium.
And I think that's an important point just quickly, which is that if you have some medical issues, that does not 100% preclude you from what you'd consider a traditional life insurance policy. It just may change the premium depending upon what those health issues are. But not everything, you're taking a high blood pressure med or even, you've gained some weight. Not everything is an exclusion.
No, it is.
Is excluding you from coverage, rather.
No, and obviously as your needs are changing over time because you have truly, I don't know, I've always thought of it as a cash register. You're out, you're actively at work. Or frankly, if you're at home as a mom, maybe you're not getting paid directly, but the truth is either way, you're a cash register. You're generating income, the cash flow to be able to support somebody's, and frankly, your own lifestyle. You've got obligations that you take on, whether debt obligations or kids are expensive. So, just the obligations of raising children, and they do get more expensive as they get older. So nobody tells you.
How could that be?
Yeah, I see these commercials. They say you could feed kids for like pennies a day.
I guess they could at your house, but not at mine.
Stop running those commercials.
We had expensive tastes. I wanted like sandwich makers and stuff. At-home sandwich makers.
God.
Not like, my dad made a great sandwich. He even cut it on the diagonal and stuff, so I thought it was real fancy. But, they had panini makers and things. Even, remember when they had
the
TV commercials with, or like
yes,
infomercials,
I can remember.
I didn't have a TV when I
You lie.
I had a radio. I had to imagine.
That's because you're so old.
Well, let's put it this way. For the other grown-ups that are listening today, it's fun now. All my clients are my age.
It's fun.
What Erin's referring to in her memory, of course, has been a little thin here, and she knows that I know what she's talking about because she's laughing, which is a thing called Pocket Gourmet. I remember this. It was like a waffle thing that you made.
You're going to have to sing the song that goes with it.
No, I'm not singing. You don't have enough cash for that. So it was Erin, and I just remember after seeing like the 64th commercial of Pocket Gourmet with her, I said to her one day, I said, honey, and Erin, she's the ultimate American consumer. She sees it on TV. Thank God she didn't have a telephone when she was 4 years old, or we would have been bankrupt. But what happened is, I remember saying to her, I said, honey, I said to her one day, I said, look, if you can go for 1 hour.
1 hour, that was it.
And not want to buy something that you see on TV, I will buy you like everything on TV that you see.
And me being the sweet, honest child that I was, within 5 seconds had to admit that I wanted the next thing that I saw on TV.
Of course.
Should have just turned the TV off for the hour.
Please.
I wasn't that smart when I was little.
Please. You're talking about Miss Hanukkah every day. I don't think so.
Miss Hanukkah every day.
It's a long name, but it fits.
Every single day, but it's kind of fun. But in either case, parents, especially those that are in their, and really anyone that's in this, I guess I would call it the conspicuous consumption phase, which is really pre-retirement. They do have a lot of ties on their money, right? Whether it's children or whether it's debt obligations, etc. And so finding the right premium for them is important, but at the same time also matching the length of the obligation with the insurance coverage is extremely important. That's why, Rob, I thought it was a very good recommendation. We were looking at a mortgage that was going to be anywhere from 10 to 20 years. They talked about wanting to pay it off quickly. And so offering them a level term contract where they knew what the premium would be for the next 20 years. So it was fixed. Also, it was obviously extremely, low cost, was good. And they could convert it at some point in time in the future if they wanted to retain a part of that need. I thought it was just a great recommendation.
Exactly. It was affordable. It fit their needs perfectly for what they were trying to protect, and it had the ability to be converted to something else as their insurance needs change. So it just seemed like a no-brainer. They were very interested in learning more, and they'll be coming back in next week. So,
which is great.
We'll see.
And I know we had a situation, Aaron and I had a situation like this a couple of years ago before you joined us. And it was the new grandma, that came to see us because their children were just had their first grandchild. And the kids were broke.
Right.
And they couldn't afford life insurance. Or they didn't think they could afford life insurance, or maybe they weren't going to go through it without someone paying for it. And so what we were able to then do is secure coverage for them in that case. And even if grandma or grandpa was going to pay for this coverage, again, we're talking about something, like you said, extremely affordable, budgetable, and
convertible.
Exactly. As needs would be. And so
also, I think it gives grandma and grandpa a little bit of peace of mind, too, knowing that their kids are taking care of each other, taking care of their obligations, and, really setting themselves up for success down the road.
Absolutely. It's all good. So, Rob, thank you so much for sharing that story with us today.
Before we move on to our next topic, we have Steve that has been patiently holding for like an hour.
Well, thank you, Steve. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Well, good morning to both of you, or to all of you, I should say.
Thank you.
I was recently having a conversation with a friend who'd retired relatively young, and he and his wife were telling me they were a part of and you're going to have to forgive me, I'm not sure, I think they said a 72T plan.
Yes. Sure.
Can you explain that to me? I don't know that I'm interested, but they said they had 5-year obligation to this plan once they signed up.
Yes. Steve, so what happens is 72T is a part of the Internal Revenue Code that permits people to make distributions from their individual retirement accounts, their traditional IRAs, without paying the 10% penalty because they're under the age of 59 and a half.
But there is a little bit of a catch.
Yeah, I mean, there are rules like anything else. And so what your friends were explaining, honey, why don't you go into a little more detail?
So basically, if you're under 59 and a half and you need income from a retirement account, a traditional IRA, then the 72T allows for equal substantial distributions for 5 years or until you turn 59 and a half, whichever is greater. So if you happen to be, 54 years old, then you're going to go for 5.5 years at least, or 53, you're going to go for 6 years. So it can be longer than a 5-year term. The IRS gives you 3 options for distributions. They all work out to about 4%, a little bit less, a little bit more. You're able to change that distribution formula one time during your 72T distribution. However, the most important piece of this is if you do not follow the rules, then every single distribution that you've made from whatever point you started to when you make the error and forward is going to be subject to that 10% penalty. I think the IRS has also developed an alternative to this 72T, which would be available to individuals that have separated from employment, but their 401ks are still at their employer,
right,
and they're over 55 years old. You don't have to use the 72T if you leave the money in the 401k. You can pull as much or as little as you like until you get to 59 and a half, and there is no additional penalty. That's called the 55 and over rule.
Yeah, Steve, I was going to say, I think what's important here, and something I'm sure you probably didn't get in detail from your friends, is that if you subject your entire IRA to the 72T rules, really what you're doing is you're going like, what is the account value as of today? And you're then applying a distribution percentage, which is in an IRS table. You don't really have any latitude. It's called, it's not like I want to take 10,000. Can I do it? The answer is no. What we've done with our clients is in some cases what we've done to them, if they do need an income source, we said, okay, how much income do we need?
Over that period of time.
And how much can we live with? And therefore what we've then done is work backwards. Say that we've separated maybe their IRA into 2 pieces, as an example. One being, we'll call it the growth IRA, and the other one into the 72T IRA account, which we're going to follow that distribution number for the 5-year period.
Which essentially should drain that account or,
right,
close to it, but then you still have access to the other side of the IRA.
And I think Erin, I think really made the really good point, and I thought she explained it well, which was the hook. And the hook here is that if you take a penny more or a penny less than what the distribution amount is defined as, the 72T amount is, you pay a 10% penalty on everything that you've taken up to that point. So you don't want to mess around. You can change the formula once during the 5-year period, but the truth is most people don't.
Because they're all relatively similar.
Yeah, I mean they're within 0.5% of each other. So one of the formulas will give you a little bit more, one will give you a little less, but I think the best way to do it here is to back your way into it. Which is say, as an example, if I need $1,000 a month, then in theory, if the table's a 4% withdraw as an example, they say, well, I need $300,000 to be in that 72T account. Any more that I have over and above that
goes into the growth account,
right? Or in theory, if you're making it in service distribution, you would pull $300 out, leave the rest of it in your 401k, and then what you could, or et cetera, and then what you could do is pull that whenever you want, still not subject to 10% penalty, but do it the other way.
So you probably want to get some additional advice on this because there's quite a few ways that you can go about it, and some more efficient and effective for you than others.
And the nice part also is that the custodian that you're working with will report the distribution as a 72T distribution so that the IRS doesn't come running after you. So it's good. And very good, really good question.
Yeah. That is a great question.
Not to exercise just our comedy bones here this morning. That was a good one.
It is.
And I think we should take our second break of the hour before we take any more text questions at 84126. Or it's your live phone call. We'd love to hear your voice, 314-931-5877. So be like Steve. Give us a call.
Are you looking for hardwood floors? You're in luck because Boardwalk Hardwood Floors is celebrating their 25th anniversary with their annual warehouse sale. Take advantage of their most popular sale of the year at all 4 of their showrooms for the month of September. You'll enjoy up to 25% off, plus free financing for 12 months. Factory and inventory closeouts and specials. We're talking reclaimed, hand-scraped, solid wood, engineered, pre-finished, unfinished, hickory, walnut, oak, cherry, maple, you name it, they have it at Boardwalk Hardwood Floors. Supplies are limited, so you need to act fast. Their annual warehouse sale, up to 25% off at all 4 of their locations. West County on Manchester Road, South County on Watson Road, St. Charles on Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, and Mid-County 170 between Page and Olive. Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, their annual warehouse sale all September. BoardwalkHardwood.com.
Gas Appliance Service and the Fireplace and Grill Center can get your fires burning for the upcoming holidays. Call now and get ahead. New gas logs will make your home warm and inviting when you're entertaining or curled up on the sofa with a good book. See the beautiful burning displays at Gas Appliance Service near Westport, or the Fireplace and Grill Center, a quarter-mile east of 141 on the south side of Manchester Road. Don't wait. Now's the time for the best service, selection, and prices.
In nature, carbon, pressure, and time make diamonds beautiful. A lab-grown WOW diamonds are grown in a lab using the same formula as nature. This is Eric of Newstetter's Fine Jewelers. Mining diamonds creates the biggest holes on Earth. Lab-grown WOW diamonds do not harm the environment.
Newstetter's Fine Jewelers has lab-grown WOW diamonds available. Newstetter's Fine Jewelers on Doherty Ferry at Big Bend and online at wowdiamonds.com.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Woo! I had to get that out.
Yeah, mine doesn't sound like that.
Of course, it's not as you don't smoke. So
No, I don't.
7:50 here on the Big 550 KTRS Talk Radio St. Louis. Gang's all here. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. We'd love to hear from you. Rock stars. Folks are always asking, are we rock stars?
Right.
It's kind of fun. I coined that about, I guess it was about 4 or 5 years ago, that idea. And we had John and Judy visit us, right?
Yes, we did. And John and Judy work from home. They like the money and the freedom, but they're wondering, can we retire today?
You know, it's interesting because there are a lot of folks that are, honey, what's the term for that? They're like kind of working or like fake people that are.
Do you mean what they're calling quiet quitting now or something?
Exactly. So that was what I was thinking, which is, they're working. It's like, this is kind of cool because I'm not, my supervisors aren't like looking over my shoulder, but
well, not just that.
Is it really
it's
time to hang it up?
Well, that's a good question, but I think that there are a lot of people, especially in the St. Louis area or the outskirts, where they were experiencing incredibly long drives to work. Like we've had clients that were driving an hour each direction to get to the office. So this whole work from home thing, it could go one of two ways. Either people might start being tired of it, like John and Judy, which maybe they've been enjoying the freedom, but they might be ready to retire. Or some people, they've been able to extend their careers because they feel like, hey, this work from home gig is nice. I thought I was going to retire this year, but maybe I'll stick it out and just see how it goes.
John and Judy were nice, but as they were telling me this, all I could think of was,
we will never be working from home.
They built the ship Titanic.
What?
Exactly. That's all I can tell you. It was sad, so sad. I think it's kind of interesting. And so, we don't even know if they're talking about being forced to come back
to the office.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
And so,
I think they just want options so they know.
As an employer, I'm a little curmudgeon in that.
Quite.
Unlike yourself, modern,
progressive. Meeting the employees' needs. These things.
Yes.
You
can tell we don't always agree. So we created their retirement game plan strategy. Let's talk a little bit about it. They had mentioned to us that currently, based on their lifestyle and living expenses, we always make sure that they include those lifestyle expenses, fun stuff. It's going to run about $5,000 a month. So naturally, we increased that by 20% because they're going to basically be in the 10% tax bracket plus 5 for Fed. They're in Missouri side.
So a little buffer.
Exactly. $6,000 per month is the pre-tax monthly income they require, or $72,000 a year. So, babe, let's talk about their resources.
Gotcha. So they have about $140,000 in after-tax assets that they do not consider their vault or their emergency fund.
Cool.
John has $620,000 in his IRA. I'm sorry, in his 401k, and Judy has $260,000 in her TSP. So she's a government employee.
Exactly. She isn't she's not a delivery person. She doesn't deliver the mail, but the truth, we have a lot of those. But
right.
It's fun. So they've got a little over $1 million in investable assets.
But like I mentioned, Judy is a government employee, so she's got a nice pension of $1,800 a month. Her Social Security at 67 is going to be $2,800 a month, and John's is going to be $3,000 a month at 67. So, I mean, their total income is going to exceed their income needs.
Yeah, they're going to be at $7,600 a month inflows, whereas their outflows, they're looking at about $6,000 a month. So if they were 67 today, and we don't want to age them, of course,
they would be rock stars.
However, they're both 63.
Oh, they have 4 years to go.
4 years to go. It was sad. Okay, but
oh my god!
I'm on a theme.
Is that going to be? I was going to say, is that the new theme?
We only have another hour and 6 minutes to do that. Okay, to 67, and they also have 2 years until they're Medicare eligible, right?
Right, so that's going to add a few expenses. One, we don't have that income, the Social Securities, the fixed income that we talked about, but also we're going to have to add an additional expense, most likely for COBRA and then individual coverage.
Well, so like you said, they're going to need $72,000 a year for 4 years, which is $288,000, assuming no interest or growth on their current retirement assets.
So that means if we just put $288,000 into an account and withdrew the cash from it for 4 years.
Yes, and also they're going to need an additional $18,000 per year on top of that to deal with healthcare,
which is $36,000 a year, because we're only going to need that for 2 years. When they get to 65, they'll be able to elect their Medicare benefits and still hold off on Social Security if they would like.
Yeah, so the bottom line is that they need about $324,000 between both of these two, but they have over $1 million of assets. So,
and we know
yes,
that when they get to 67, they won't need any of the income that would currently be sending them from their retirement plans, because their fixed income is going to make up their entire income need. So that leaves the rest of their assets free and clear.
Well, and the other side is that if we do see some drainage on the front end,
mm-hmm.
then they're going to be in a position where they can refill the buckets on the back end.
Right, if they're using some of their vault money to create
yes,
some of the income. And that $140,000 could become very useful depending upon if they have some other large capital needs in their retirement, because we'll be pulling the majority of those other assets from taxable accounts. If they have, a big down payment on a truck or a car or something coming up, then they would be able to pull from that after-tax money.
Yeah, and so really what this does is it really creates a discussion, which was how do we figure out which faucets, i.e. sources, do we pull to deal with not only their income needs but also their healthcare cash flow expense needs? And I would tell you that if we take the $72,000 of cash flow they need before retirement, we add another 18 to that 90, that's going to keep them, even with her pension, that's going to keep them really in about a 10 to 12% income tax bracket. So from a planning point of view, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to drain out their savings, their after-tax savings, et cetera. What we really should be doing is doing a combination of both. And as you said, honey, recognizing, understanding from them what goals they have that require money to achieve. What projects do they have on the horizon? Really within, let's say, the 4 to 5 year time horizon,
mm-hmm.
pre-Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really important. And also pre-Medicare, because what we didn't discuss was, right, in 2 years, whoo-hoo, drops out because they'll go from 63 to 65. They're going to get rid of that $18,000.
And also, I was just thinking about the fact that they have this nice big lump sum of after-tax money at $140,000. Like you said, we don't want to drain it all the way down. However, we have in the past helped clients structure their income so they qualify for those Affordable Care Act subsidies.
Millionaires getting subsidies? Not in this country.
Think of it as a tax refund.
Yes.
I think that we would be able to assist them. Assist John and Judy in. We know $1,800 a month is coming from the pension. Maybe taking half of the balance of their income need and taking it from their $140,000 would put them at about $50,000 of taxable income, giving them the opportunity to use a subsidy, which might bring down that income need.
There's a lot of moving parts here.
Right, which is why it's always important to chat with someone before you make some big life decisions, because, we especially people like us, we want to get in sync with your plan, but maybe there's a more efficient way to get there for you.
Absolutely. And you know how to stay in sync all the time? By listening to the second hour of our show. Easy to do. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with some more Straight Talk on Retirement right after these messages. In about 1 minute.
In about 1 minute.
Hey.
You know what? And our amazing board op Tim was totally going to just shove a whole extra minute of commercials in there for us.
I thought I practiced that very
you're
nicely.
You're going to pay give all those extra sponsors,
well, as a reminder,
few extra dimes.
Sure. So let's just say that folks would like to join in on the fun. And they want to do it in person.
Oh, that would be great.
It's easy to do. We call that a coaching session. Some people call it a laughing session. But
or
it really
a training session.
Etc. It's easy to do. Just give our office a call, 314-863-0008. Again, 314-863-0008. It's a lot of zeros. Or you can send us an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com.
Or Aaron at jblfinancial.com.
Or Robert at jblfinancial.com.
Robert who? Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
The Big 550. KTRS AM. FM 1061. K291CW St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. With less than 2 months before the midterm elections, the immigration debate now center stage again. That after Florida's governor flew migrants from Texas to Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts without notifying officials. ABC's Maria Villarreal says they've been relocated since and are receiving services.
The nearly 50 migrants from Venezuela that were flown to Martha's Vineyard Wednesday night are now waking up at a military base on Cape Cod. Immigration attorneys saying the group was lied to about the trip.
These are human beings who were deprived of basic human rights. These wonderful people who find themselves plane wrecked on our island. I have a message for all of them. You are not alone. We have your backs.
ABC News confirming the DeSantis administration chartered the planes, and the migrants didn't even board in Florida. They came from Texas.
In London, King Charles and his son Prince William making a surprise stop to meet the crowds lining up outside in the queue to view the coffin of Queen Elizabeth. It follows a night where the king and his siblings honored the queen and their mother.
In all, a few thousand soldiers, sailors, and Air Force personnel were put through their paces here in the middle of the night. Earlier, King Charles led a vigil at Westminster Hall around his mother's coffin. These well-wishers say
he studied for his mother. He's been trained into the job by his parents. He'll be fine.
I think he'll be really good. I think he's got good heart, and I think it's going to be great.
Mourners kept silently streaming into the hall, even as the king and his 3 siblings stood vigil around the flag-draped coffin for 15 minutes. Tom Rivers, ABC News, London.
The funeral is Monday. Residents in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands bracing for Tropical Storm Fiona. It is moving closer to the islands and is expected to pack a punch with heavy wind and rain. You're listening to ABC News.
I'm Dr. Stork. Why give your family just ordinary eggs when they can enjoy the best? Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition compared to ordinary eggs. With 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, 25% less saturated fat, and 38% more lutein. Because the way we care is anything but ordinary. Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Ooma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
In Nevada, the public official accused of murdering a journalist is speaking out in a media interview. ABC's Brian Clark with details.
The Nevada official accused of killing journalist Jeff Gehrman last month would not talk about that.
I cannot comment on the case in any respect whatsoever.
But Clark County Public Administrator Robert Tellis told ABC affiliate KTNV in a jailhouse interview he's not a bad person.
I'm just somebody who's trying to do his best to be a good person.
Prosecutors say Tellis stabbed Gehrman to death because he was angry with Gehrman's investigation into his office and career. Asked about recent video that surfaced of his 2020 arrest for domestic violence, Tellis said he was drunk at the time.
And that is obviously one of the reasons that I quit drinking.
He's due back in court next week. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Former Trump White House press secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders disclosing that she had recent surgery to remove cancer. ABC's Lionel Moise has details.
Former Trump White House press secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders announcing she underwent surgery for thyroid cancer Friday. In a statement, the Republican who is running for Arkansas governor saying in part, "By the grace of God, I am now cancer-free." The 40-year-old says doctors removed her thyroid and surrounding lymph nodes, and that she looks forward to returning to the campaign trail soon. Sanders says a test earlier this month revealed she had cancer. Lionel Moise, ABC News.
Midterm elections are in November. This is ABC News.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. The price of oil keeps going up. Get in on the oil boom now and help make an investment that can potentially pay you monthly passive income for up to 20 or more years. If you're an SEC accredited investor, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects. The U.S. government needs your investment in oil, and you're allowed to write off nearly 100% on your taxes in the first year. Call 1-800-278-7455 or go to EncoreOilCompany.com. That's 1-800-278-7455.
Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement, hour number 2 that I've been here for. Mentally, physically, emotionally.
Spiritually.
Yes.
All of it.
Taking grief from my oldest prodigal daughter, Erin.
And just think this is the shortest amount of grief you get during the week.
Respectful insurance specialist, Rob Markham. Thank you, and welcome back to the show. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. I did get a text, though.
From Mom?
No. From our station manager.
You got a text this morning.
From Mark.
Oh, how nice.
He's terrific,
He's confirming that I was wrong, too.
No, he was saying we were having way too much fun on the show.
Got to scale it back.
And thank you for
Pocket Gourmet.
Thank you for waking us up. Oh my God! Oh, the memories.
Pocket Gourmet.
Yes, you love the Pocket Gourmet. Your mom's just dying laughing right now if she's awake.
Who wouldn't want a warm homemade sandwich?
Honey, I can't even go there. Thank God Vegematic was gone by the time you
Vegematic.
You actually were
that sounds great.
Yeah, you didn't like vegetables that much, so that wasn't
what.
But again, we'd love to hear from you. Aaron and I are retirement coaches. We help our clients, we think, make smart choices about their money. And how do we do that, babe?
By designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan. It has several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one they can count on, so they can do all the things they'd like to do during retirement and learn show tunes.
A third is cost-effectively addressing their healthcare needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses, children, or grandchildren, churches or charities, whoever it might be. Well, Uncle Sam of the tax court's taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Aaron and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us retirement coaches.
So we have a flurry of texts and such that I would like to get to. A flurry.
A flurry.
Yeah.
Well, you have
It's monsoon.
You have the calm.
First, Mom would like to let you know that you're going to have to try a little bit harder to make her laugh. So there's that. She texts me. And the next question is great. It is about HSAs.
Fabulous.
Are there any options for your HSA account? We're getting close to $24,000 in ours, and it's only making 0.556% interest, right? And I want to keep it under the HSA rules for tax purposes. Yes, there are other alternatives. However, sometimes they're a little bit difficult to find. So the first place I would start is your local bank or your investment advisor representative and ask if they have HSA compatible plans, compatible accounts, because what happens is you can transfer those HSA dollars into an HSA account at your bank or with your advisor's broker dealer, and they can help invest a portion of those assets for you. Usually there's a stipulation that you need to hold $3,000 in cash, but with $24,000, that sounds like a nice balance to me, where you could get things invested in either higher bearing interest options, or if you wanted to even jump into the market on the equity side, they allow for that. There are specific banks that are designed solely for HSAs. This isn't an endorsement, so I can't give out the name, but if you just flip around what I said. You should be able to find it on the internet. And those are electronic banks, which you can transfer your current account into. And I do know that many of those online banks have the stipulation of $3,000 cash, and then you're able to invest the rest. And they have investment options available for you, be it CDs, equities, mutual funds, whatever you're looking for.
This was a very great text question because I had the exact same one 3-4 years ago when we started our HSA
through our health care plan. Yes, because all of the major insurance companies that offer HSA plans do also offer the ability to contribute to an HSA account through the insurer. In most cases, those are not like our texter is finding, and
they're
like
not
they're not gonna.
They're
really
high interest earning.
Right, they're really just like money market accounts, whereas you do have the opportunity to get a little bit more exotic, if you will. You just need to take that money elsewhere. But just as a quick reminder, in terms of mechanical purposes, you do want to make sure that you are transferring those assets in kind from one HSA account to another, so that way you aren't taxed on any of the movement of that money.
Yeah, I mean, even though the HSA money would come out to you tax-free, it would assume that you'd be using on healthcare, so
So you'd better show $24,000 of health insurance expenses.
Yeah, it needs to be a trustee-to-trustee transfer, just like you would do with
any other type of account.
Going from a 401k to an IRA, et cetera, et cetera. So very good text question. We appreciate that one.
That was the end of the flurry for the moment.
Okay. Heck with your mom.
I know she didn't laugh at that.
That's all right. Talked about her a lot this morning.
I know. She said you. Well, I guess it's not laughable to call her wonderful, so it's a little different.
I'm going to change her name to Amazon. That's all I could say.
Well,
She's
like mother,
Amazon.
like mother, like daughter.
Okay. Well, at 5'9", you're not. At 5 foot, you're not an Amazon.
5'9", in my dreams of dreams.
There you go. But let's, again, while we're waiting for your calls and your tests at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line, let's talk a little about some of our other friends, Joe and Sally.
And I was lucky enough to sit in on a meeting with you this week with Joe and Sally, and he is 62, a regional sales manager for a large private company, and his wife Sally is 60, and she is a mid-level executive at a public company headquartered here.
There aren't too many of those left.
Yeah, this is true.
Unfortunately.
She would like to reduce her hours over the next 5 years and then retire. Joe wants to continue to work for the next 5 years.
So, it's interesting because this obviously creates some planning opportunities for us. Based on what Sally reduced her income, if we need to supplement Joe's income, we were asked what are the options we should be thinking about if Sally is not working or if her income falls short of our monthly income goal for her portion, basically for her part, of $1,500 a month.
So Sally's bringing, we only need $1,500 a month in order to make their lives work.
Yeah,
that's not what she was bringing home.
Right, because Joe's continuing to work, so that's what she was bringing home. So the question becomes, what do we need to do if we have to supplement?
Got you. So Sally could access her pension benefits. However, she'd be losing that compounding of that benefit by 6% per year between 60 and 65.
Yeah, and we were able to see that in looking at her pension plan options and
that doesn't sound like the greatest, especially in this moment.
Not really. She could take control of her 401k plan by doing a tax-free rollover to a traditional IRA. And she could then take distributions as they were needed, which is a cool option.
Well, it's really almost the best, or one of the best, because, if Sally's income is decreasing, she could be taking a decreasing amount from her former 401k, now IRA, or if we had to replace the full amount, we'd be able to do that from there.
And really keeping them basically in the same, we want to call it tax bracket effective rate, because we're basically, replacing that part of her income that we need.
Right.
We know that Joe's making the maximum contributions today to his 401k plan of about $1,800 a month. One option he could take advantage of is he could reduce his contribution to a level that captures his employer's match. So let's say he was putting in 10%. He could go to 3 if 3% was the employer match, and then he could obviously take that money home, which would, the difference, that would increase his net pay. And that could maybe be making up the deficit. And that's an easy one, too.
That's an easy one, but also are we assuming that they have enough to be fully retired once Joe and Sally are both retired?
Well, the answer is yes. But,
okay. So you might.
But we'll
Gotcha.
get. We're going to get there in a couple minutes. So.
Didn't mean to jump there.
So first question was how do we make up the income, and then the second question, big one, always is healthcare. What's the most effective thing to do for Sally? Does she elect Cobra? Does she go on to his plan? Does she go to the exchanges? Right?
That is a great question. And basically what we would do to determine that answer is we would compare those three options. We would take a look at Cobra, most likely not going to be the best option. We're going to look at individual health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. Most likely that's going to be an expensive option. So what we've found over the last several years is usually taking advantage of that qualifying event and having a special election to jump on for Sally to jump on to Joe's coverage is probably going to be the most cost effective if they were both taking coverage from their respective employers. The nice thing here is I found a lot of couples were doing that because employers have been imposing like an excise tax, if you will, on spouses on coverage if those spouses had access to qualified coverage elsewhere.
Well, that's because they didn't want to have to subsidize the other employer, if you think about it.
Well, of course.
Why,
of course.
Why should we do that?
I wasn't saying it was wrong, just that that's kind of what's going on. But the nice thing is that's alleviated for Sally now moving forward because she doesn't have access to other coverage. She would only have, she theoretically does through individual health insurance, but she doesn't have access to another employer plan, which would give her access free and clear to Joe's.
And the other thing is that we know that because it's a qualifying event, which is her loss of coverage, she can then go into Joe's coverage without any pre-existing conditions.
Or medical underwriting.
Exactly, which is a very cool thing to do. So we've got the healthcare part on track. That's it isn't easy, but for us, we think it's easy because we do this all the time.
Right.
How will this track on their retirement? Well, doing their analysis, we know that currently they're spending about $7,500 a month.
Ooh.
We have to increase that by 20%. So their pre-tax need for income is about $9,000 a month or $108,000 a year. When we look at their normal retirement age, Social Security benefits between both of them, they're going to be at about $6,000 a month, which is great. Her pension benefit at 65 is $3,500. So again, you can do this one, honey.
Woohoo!
You need some.
Why is that funny? I feel like it's close.
It sounded like a sick walrus or something.
A sick walrus.
How about woohoo? Okay.
A sick walrus.
So they need.
And I'm the abusive one.
I'm the father. So
right.
I have. So they need $9,000 a month. You're Woohoo Junior. Okay. So they need they're going to get $9,500 a month. So they're going to be in great shape from a fixed income point of view. At the same time, they both still have about $1.5 million of 401k assets behind them. So, the options, I think, really do become clear. If we need to put off Sally's pension to 65, they'll need to withdraw a little bit of money from their 401k, which is fine. About $90,000, $1,500 a month.
And that assumes that Sally is not working at all.
Yes, times 12 months, times 5 years, which is nothing. Realistically, it comes out to be less than 1.5%. And, we say that 4% is a prudent rate of withdrawal, so 1.5% is nothing. 4% would be $60,000 a year. In a couple of years, they don't need anything, so...
Yeah! That's my version of woohoo.
Man.
Was that good?
No. You're going to have to practice that, babe. I mean, honestly. That's almost like you singing the Pocket Gourmet thing, okay?
I cannot even believe that I've opened myself up to such abuse.
Well,
all for the entertainment of our listeners.
Absolutely. Well, it's fun. So, we have fun in coaching sessions, and this was really a very fun with with Joe and Sally. Having folks kind of recognize that where they are, and then really seeing what their options are.
Well, it's nice to know you have
It's
so
fun.
many options. I mean, Joe and Sally had basically 3 or 4 options to choose from, which is incredible because that also means that they could course correct down the line, exclusive of the pension election option, obviously.
You know, and in their particular case, I think also was not only what you're talking about, honey, which is great, but let's put this into perspective of where we are in the market today.
Right.
Okay. Their income is not really going to be based upon the growth or valuation or the devaluation of their accounts. They're going to have control. If we set aside enough money to deal with these a couple of years before they're hitting their normal retirement age, Social Security benefit, they're in a great place.
Right.
Because then their cash flow is going to be secure, and that'll make them feel a lot more comfortable about their retirement. And then obviously they can grow the money for children, grandchildren later.
And this can be true for I mean, we've used 2 examples now that have pension access. And for many people that are retiring, for many of our clients that are retired or retiring, they did not have access to those pension benefits. But that does not mean that you can't feel equally as secure in your retirement. We just have to do the math.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's an algebra problem, as it always has been.
Well, you know what? I think we're going to take our first break of the hour. This hour.
You sure?
I feel like it's a good idea.
We'll be back with some more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
Basement with a Y. That's Basement E.
It's Basement T.
Basement E?
It's Basement T.
Oh, Basement T. Basement T. I get it. That's the basement waterproofing and foundation repair experts at Woods Basement Systems.
Right. The All Things Basement T experts at Woods Basement Systems will provide you a free estimate and dry up that wet basement and fix that cracked foundation. Call 800-388-9326 or go online to woodsbasementsystems.com.
That's woodsbasementsystems.com.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Ooma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Gas Appliance Service and the Fireplace and Grill Center can get your fires burning for the upcoming holidays. Call now and get ahead. New gas logs will make your home warm and inviting when you're entertaining or curled up on the sofa with a good book. See the beautiful burning displays at Gas Appliance Service near Westport, or the Fireplace and Grill Center, a quarter mile east of 141 on the south side of Manchester Road. Don't wait. Now's the time for the best service, selection, and prices.
Hi, this is Stuart Rosenblum, president of Stewart's American Mortgage.
Stewie!
Mortgages are the biggest investment that a person's going to make in their life, yet most people don't know anything about it. Tune in for Mortgages and More with Stewie. That's me, where we can go over all the different types of mortgage programs in simple terms. You, me,
Stewie!
You'll become an expert after the first show.
Listen to Mortgages and More with Stewie, Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. on KTRS.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
8:24 here on the Big 550 KTRS Talk Radio, St. Louis. I'm Jeff Lapidus, a retirement coach, host, co-host, father of the host.
That's
co-host,
more like it, father of the host.
Denier of the pocket gourmet.
That's true. I should be claiming child abuse, requesting money for therapy.
They have Amazon, honey. It's not a problem.
Requesting money for my shopping therapy.
We'd love to hear from you, 931-5877. If you want to weigh in on Pocket Gourmet, it's 84126, which is our text line. Thank you so
You
much.
want to make paninis at home. I don't know what the joke is. Sounds delicious. People like warm sandwiches.
Thank you.
And I didn't get paid for that.
No, you don't. They don't even make the product anymore.
That's
So-
not true. It's on It's in As Seen on TV because, unlike you, one of my friends several years ago bought me one.
Oh, did they?
I don't know where it went, but I had it for a while.
Well, they like you. It's nice. It's nice. to
Right,
have
because I told them this delightful, charming story.
So I did happen to receive an email last week from Paula.
Oh.
And she mentioned that she and her husband are both 64 years old. Many of their friends have mentioned that they're currently purchasing long-term care insurance. And they're throwing some big numbers out in terms of premiums, anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000 per year.
Oh, my God.
To purchase that coverage.
That's expensive.
It does seem really expensive. But she says, I think that we need it, especially after having been through my dad's stay and unfortunately his passing in a nursing home. They were forced into Medicaid spend down, which is sad and terrible. And they will want to avoid that. Can you and Aaron, Ms. Pocket Gourmet, please shed some light on this?
You haven't called me that in so long. Yes, we can shed some light on this. We find that many people purchase more coverage than they actually need to pay for. So, for example, if you recognize, and I'm sure if you sit down with a long-term care agent, they're going to point out to you that a semi-private room in an assisted living facility can run between $8,000 and $10,000 a month. If you fund 100% of the benefit between $8,000 and $10,000 a month, you're going to get a big premium, like $4,000 to $7,000 a year. But the reality of the situation is that you don't need to fund 100% of the benefit. Just like with your health insurance now, you don't have zero out-of-pocket expense, but you're paying this massive premium to the insurance company. You're doing a little bit of cost sharing. Well, this is the same idea, but in the reverse, because you are not going to lose your other streams of income if yourself or your spouse is institutionalized or in need of long-term care. You're still going to have your Social Security benefits. You're still going to have income from your retirement accounts. You're still, if you had a pension, going to have access to that as well. So what we need to really focus on is the amount it will take for the non-institutionalized spouse to maintain their lifestyle. And
usually $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
And really that's because all of the lifestyle expenses are going to fall out of your budget, even if one of the spouses is not institutionalized, so they're still well, they're going to become the secondary caregiver. They're going to be going back and forth from the facility. There are not going to be that many trips, I'm sure. You're not going to leave your spouse in the facility and go on a vacation without them. All the going out to dinner and things really decreases because you're spending that time focused on the spouse. So what we really want to look at is filling the gap that we need to by adding up all of your fixed income expenses, adding the extra expense of the long-term care, and then determining what that number is.
So let's use a number. Let's just say for fun that let's use that $9,000 number for assisted living, which is it's a little high, but that's fine.
Okay.
And $3,000 per month for the cost for the non-institutionalized spouse to maintain a lifestyle. So they're needing about $12,000 a month. Well, if both the folks are actively at work or were actively at work, their average Social Security benefits are probably running between $2,000 and $3,000 a month.
So about $5,000 a month between the two of them in Social Security benefit.
Right. So then what we're then looking at is, okay, how do we fund the differential? $6,000, $7,000 a month, a benefit which comes out to be basically no more than $150, $200 a day, which in reality runs about $3,000 a year.
That's right. Not only does it run $3,000 a year, but there are some nice bells and whistles added into that $3,000. Some riders that we like to include on these benefits. that will give you access to the money faster, that will maintain a bucket for both you and your spouse, regardless of who needs access to the money first.
But also doesn't include an inflation rider, which can raise the price of these contracts by up to 30%.
That's the one bell and whistle we don't add in. And the reason for that is the insurance companies have now made it standard for a 5% inflation, compounding inflation rider. So as you can imagine, as your benefit compounds by 5% annually, you are going to be more likely to be subject to a premium increase down the line, not only having a more expensive premium to start, because as you hold the contract, you are creating more and more liability for the insurance company if you ever need access to those funds. Whereas if you have a level amount, that's why rarely do we see premium increases levied upon contracts that exclude an inflation rider. So our normal solution to this is, if that $150 to $200 a day isn't comfortable for you, let's increase the base benefit from the start versus trying to compound it with an inflation rider.
Yeah, and the other thing is that in today's contracts, generally the maximum benefit period you can purchase is 5 years. There are no more lifetime benefits under those coverages.
No, and those really only mainly accessible through employer-based plans too, is what I found.
Well, but let's assume two things here. Number one is, let's just say that Paula, she's like your mom. She hates paying premiums. Okay. Mm-hmm. So she might be more interested in a non-premium paying solution. At the same time, let's say also, maybe independently or at the same time, that her health and her husband's health has deteriorated slightly to a point where they may not qualify for coverage. And that's pretty easy to do these days.
About 50% of applications for long-term care, traditional long-term care policies, those would be the comprehensive policies that provide you at-home care and in-facility care, both skilled nursing and the other one I can't think of. Assisted living, where you either have 24-hour nursing or a reduced amount of nursing support. About 50% of those contracts are denied because of various health reasons, because what they're looking for is not mortality. If you're going to die, they're looking at morbidity. How long are you going to be able to live with the ailment that created the need for the long-term care benefit?
So let's use an example. George and Sally, clients of ours, have about $120,000 in certificates of depression.
Or
CDs.
CDs, as they're often called.
And we know that half of that, about $60,000, is really their vault, their backup cash reserve. One option that they might have is for us to invest the $60,000 into what they call an asset-based long-term care solution, which really is a fixed annuity contract that also offers to pay long-term care benefits.
That's right. So the fixed annuity component of the contract issues, for a fixed term. Now, these policies usually have a 12-year surrender on them.
Sure.
But they also have a fixed rate of interest that's guaranteed. Now, the way that you pay for the long-term care benefit is the insurance company is first going to credit you your guaranteed rate of interest. Then they are going to withdraw a certain amount of interest that they've credited you in order to pay for the long-term care premium. That number is based on your age, which means it will increase over time. However, most long-term care asset-based products, also insurance company carry the guarantee that you will never pay a dish into your premium in order to pay for the long-term care benefit. So that means even if your fixed rate of interest is completely eaten by the cost of the long-term care rider, never can it exceed the amount of interest that was originally credited to you.
Yeah, and so what's happening here is that it's not just the money that you put in, like in George and Sally's case, the $60,000. It really can expand based on their health situation, not without exam, but it could be worth $60, it could be worth $120, it could be worth $180,000. Again,
right.
Buying a pool of dollars available to pay for these expenses, and then at the same time, I like to think of it as last in, first out, which is
no, it's first in.
You're right. I'm sorry. It is first in, first out, which is your money gets eaten up first for long-term care expenses before you get into the insurance company's pocket.
And using your example, Dad, if we had to put in $60,000 of after-tax money, that's also key here. and let's say George and Sally didn't use a single dollar of their long-term care benefit. Well, their beneficiaries are going to receive the initial $60,000 premium plus any interest that they accrued that was not taken in terms of covering the long-term care rider.
So if they don't use it, they don't lose it.
That's correct. Now, in the example you used where there's a compounding benefit, you put 60 in, and based on your health, it could be worth 120, it could be worth 180. Never does that chunk of benefit get passed on to the beneficiary, but it is there for your use for long-term care. So let's say in an unfortunate example that Sally is institutionalized, she uses the $60,000 plus her interest first, and then depending upon her health at the time of issue of the contract, she gets to eat into that additional money provided by the insurance company.
Which is cool. And so again, different solutions, different situations. And I would certainly say that at this moment, because of the certificates of depression, I mean, even though interest rates are rising slightly, this is a way to hold on to assets, but at the same time have an opportunity to expand the benefit. And again, what's happening is you're basically giving the interest up to the insurance company.
Well, we have Steve's brother, Steve. We have another Steve on the line who has a question for us. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Steve.
morning. How are you all doing this morning?
Life is good. Thank you, Steve.
Well, we really appreciate what you guys are saying here. I have a serious question for you. I have $27,000 in my 401k. It's in the G fund for a government job.
Right.
Plus, also, I'm starting to get my military retirement, which is almost like $1,300.
Super.
I probably need to go back to my age of 60.
Okay.
But the question that I'm thinking is, I just heard that 401k IRA. Is that where I should put? It's $27,000 that I have in there. Should I transfer that over to try to get the IRA? And then what do I need? I'm not in need of this extra retirement money for my military. But how do I do something positive with that?
Well, let's put it this way, Steve. Here, the nice part is that the money that you have with under the G plan, using the G fund, there are, the government does offer other funds other than the G fund. They have the S fund, they have the I fund, etc. They have target date maturity funds. You can certainly, if you're working with a financial advisor, move this money tax free into a IRA.
That'll open up more options to you, but that's not to say you don't have a nice selection of options now.
Right. And if you're not working with somebody and you're not needing to take the money, then what I would suggest that you do is choose, maybe talk to somebody over there and choose an allocation. Maybe it's a target date maturity fund, etc., with them so that you're not paying an advisory fee.
Also, you are in literally the lowest cost environment out there because those funds through the TSB plans are not only are they good stuff, but they are very low expense charges to be invested.
Yeah, I mean, the big deal here is that you can't add to it because you're not actively at work or a participant. If you decided that you did want to add to your retirement accounts because, let's say, you're working part-time, et cetera, you want some tax deductions, you could make a deductible IRA to that IRA account. So, again, I think first decision point is, will I ever add money to it if I'm actually going to be actively at work? If the answer is yes, then I would definitely consider moving that to a self-directed IRA.
If the answer is no,
then keep it there because you're in the lowest cost environment, and frankly, you should be able to get some financial advice, and not have to pay for it,
which is even better.
Woohoo! Oh, good call, Steve. Thank you.
We have one text question if you'd like
fabulous,
to grab.
Babe. Love to hear that before we take our break.
Does the annual COLA increases affect recipients who elect not to receive their benefit until age 70? Why, yes, it does. So you are getting
bonus round. That's
right. You're getting the benefit of the 8% year-over-year increase that you're entitled to between 62 and 70, and you are also receiving any cost of living adjustments that are added to current participants' income. That'll be added to your Social Security benefit. So, after this year's cost of living adjustment is announced, you might request a new updated Social Security statement by going online to ssa.gov because you'll be able to see that reflected in your new projections.
And I would say that this is a very important point here, really important. Delaying Social Security benefits after normal retirement age to the maximum age of 70.
Mm-hmm.
Most folks that are listening to us today that aren't clients,
they don't or aren't going to do that.
Right. They're at 67. I mean, their normal retirement age is 67. Okay. I did my normal retirement age, I just turned 65, is 66
in 6 months.
So I just did the numbers. I got a copy of my statement, went online, now it's downloaded, showed it to your mom.
Look at you.
Lived through that. I lived through that. And, I did the math. And I'll tell you that what I have found is that the break-even's a little bit different. It's a little
based on the cost of living?
Yes, it's a little quicker right now.
Mm.
So, to use an example on numbers, I found that my Social Security normal retirement age benefit was about $3,300 a month.
At 66 and 6.
Yes, in a couple years. At 70, it was like $4,300 a month. So it was about $1,000 a month difference in benefit, which sounds like a lot. And truthfully, $1,000 is a lot of money.
But it doesn't sound like a lot when you're giving up $3,300 a month for 3 years.
Exactly. So I was figuring that I was losing $39,000 a year for 3 years, which was over $100,000, almost $120,000.
And you're going to have
to get back $1,000 a month, $12,000. So the break even was about 9 years,
which is a little bit superior to what it has been in the past. But I would say that there are a few contributing factors to this decision. One, it's a really good point to do this math because you want to see what you're giving up. But the reality is you're going to get the same amount of Social Security if you live long enough. You're just entitling the government to hold yours longer in order to pay back the benefit that you lost over a longer period of time. So it's going to be, you get the same amount. But then furthermore, we find that as people age, they get into their 80s or mid 70s, early 80s, they're spending less money.
Right.
Not because they have to due to restrictions or income limitations, but because a lot of times the traveling is less, and that could be because they've fulfilled that need. They did a lot of traveling in their earlier retirement, or because they have family pools now that they want to be around for. Also, naturally, you start to eat less as you age, which means that your income need is most likely going to drop. So, do you want the money now, or do you want the extra $1,000 later?
I don't disagree, and the other side to that is that, working, not working.
That's a key.
If you're, once you hit your normal retirement age, you can pull your Social Security benefits.
No penalties.
Without a penalty and without any takebacks. At the same time, if you are still actively at work, it may not make sense to do that because you're going to be in the highest tax bracket that you are until the time that you actually do retire from active work.
So that means most likely 85% of your Social Security benefit is going to be taxable at your tax rate, which means whatever your tax rate was, for example, in your case, Dad, you'd pile on at least another $25,000 to that, and that might bump you into another bracket, which means you could be paying like 36% on your Social Security benefit.
Wow.
Well, 34. I'm sorry, 34 is the top now, right?
No, then there's the Obamacare tax.
Well, let us discuss the hidden tax.
No, I mean it's closer to 39.
Okay, so you're going to pay 40%. You're going to pay 100% on your Social Security.
Sure feels like it. Then
well,
your mom won't let me keep it.
Right, because pocket gourmet.
Exactly, which is great. I was going to say, is it time for break number 2 of the hour?
It's time for break number 2.
This is our last break of the hour. When we come back, we are going to be willing, waiting, and wanting to answer your questions at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the KTRS, temporarily controlled by Aaron, text line. I'm Jeff Lapidus, retirement coach.
I'm Aaron Lapidus, the retirement coach.
We'll be right back.
Tired of sitting around and doing nothing? Then come out and join a community where events and activities are part of everyday living. With 25 acres, personal trainer, shuttle bus excursions, grand outdoor patio, live entertainment, and happy hour, you got to go out of your way not to find something to do at Gambrel Gardens. Gambrel Gardens is the premier active senior community in St. Louis. Call today to make your appointment to see why our resident family members say, "We never thought Mom or Dad would be so active again." 636-202-2883 or visit us at gambrelgardens.com.
I'm Dr. Stork. Why give your family just ordinary eggs when they can enjoy the best? Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition compared to ordinary eggs. With 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, 25% less saturated fat, and 38% more lutein. Because the way we care is anything but ordinary. Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Gas Appliance Service in the Fireplace and Grill Center can get your fires burning for the upcoming holidays. Call now and get ahead. New gas logs will make your home warm and inviting when you're entertaining or curled up on the sofa with a good book. See the beautiful burning displays at Gas Appliance Service near Westport or the Fireplace and Grill Center, a quarter-mile east of 141 on the south side of Manchester Road. Don't wait. Now's the time for the best service, selection, and prices.
Hi, this is Terry Hall. Sundays at 1, Vet Time in America, where you learn about all of the benefits that you have earned. But we also do real estate, because I do This Week in Real Estate. Sundays at 1, right here on the Big 550, Vet Time in America and This Week in Real Estate. Join us, because who else are you going to learn this stuff from? I'm Terry Hall. I am your vet time and real estate expert. See you Sunday at 1.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
I love this song. I still do. But we're back with some more Straight Talk on Retirement. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach.
And I'm Robert Markham, your insurance specialist.
Very good. And we're back to answer your questions at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. We have approximately 12 minutes and 30 seconds left of our show today. It's been fun.
5920.
Now that I'm awake, I love that. So very good. So let's get to Tommy. While we're waiting for your calls again at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Tommy wrote me. He said, I'm 62 and I've decided to retire at the end of this year. Wee-hee, Tommy. I have a 401k program with approximately $700,000 of assets. I will need to get at that money. Help me with my retirement. Here's what the breakdown is. $400,000 are my pre-tax employee contributions. $350,000 are my employer pre-tax contributions, and $50,000 are my after-tax contributions.
He made after-tax contributions to the 401k?
Yes, he was, Tommy participated in a plan that offered pre-tax or after-tax contributions. Many plans do have that. We do find clients that do have some of that money in there. And truthfully, a lot of it's the money. A lot of it is the interest earnings, because these after-tax contributions went away about 25 years ago.
Right.
Okay. So his questions were, what is the process of moving my 401k to a self-directed IRA without the IRS getting their hands involved?
Well, this is an easy one, which is what you will want to do is set up a pre-tax traditional IRA account at your broker-dealer, so with your investment advisor or at a bank, and then you will get on the phone with your 401k company and request that they send both the employee pre-tax contributions and the employer pre-tax contributions to the account that you have recently created. That's what's called a trustee-to-trustee transfer, and it will not create any tax consequences for you. What mechanically happens is all of the investments that you have are going to be liquidated into cash inside of your 401k and sent over as a check into your new IRA account.
And finally, what they'll then do is they'll also request, how would you like to handle your employee after-tax contributions account, which you could either A,
take home with you, have them send you a check directly. There's no taxes to that.
Or B,
create a Roth IRA account, which would be an after-tax retirement vehicle. You used after-tax money to create it, and you can roll it right into the Roth and distribute it as you'd like, or let it grow tax-deferred.
Yeah, because what's interesting here, and you may not be aware of this until you get involved in one of these phone calls, is that the interest earnings on the after-tax contributions have been basically done under a pre-tax basis.
Right, they're siphoned back into the pre-tax account.
Exactly, and you want them to be, because if you didn't, then if they sent you a check for the total of that account, what would happen is you would pay taxes on that interest. So this is a way that you can defer this.
So that means when you are on the phone, if you don't have someone, for example, we have a client service manager that facilitates these transfers for our clients.
Yes.
So we make sure that it all happens smoothly. You will want to ask for specific numbers like our client service manager does, which is what is the total pre-tax amount versus what is the total after-tax amount, so you know what to expect being delivered into each account. Because, Dad, like you just said, the numbers that you see in your statements, as well as even if you jump online, are going to be slightly different than what the ending payout is, because, like you said, some of the money's moved around a little bit, but also different 401k companies have different turnaround times in terms of sending the money out. They liquidate the account upon the request, so you'll get the end of the day trading on those accounts as what the final dollar amount is.
You know, and we're always recommending that you're doing this as a direct transfer to an IRA. The reason being is that you'll then only receive what we call a 1099-R informational, which will go to the Internal Revenue saying the transfer is made. But that isn't your only options. There are two other options. Option number one is you can say, send me a check.
And pay all the taxes.
And they'll typically do a 20% withholding.
Right. They do the minimum 20% withholding.
Right.
You might have more to pay.
And you then would pay taxes on the distribution. If, however, you change your mind, or you already didn't have that in mind, you say, well, you know, I think I just want to hold it in my hand, and then I want to put it into a self-directed IRA. What happens is you have 60 days to do that. If you don't do that within 60 days, then it all becomes a taxable distribution.
But the other important thing to remember in that particular example is they are going to withhold the 20% regardless if you have the money sent to you. So that means you have to go back to the IRS to reclaim your 20%, which means you're going to lose any potential growth on it in the interim.
That's like talking to your mother-in-law. Who wants to do that?
Right.
Who wants to get in trouble, right?
Exactly. If you have an intent on taking distributions from this account, or you have an intent on having someone else help you manage it, the most efficient, effective, and least painful way is to do the trustee-to-trustee transfer, which means you may still receive a paper check, but it is not going to be made out to you. It's going to be made out to the broker-dealer and you, which means there is literally only one place on this planet that it can be cashed, at the broker-dealer in your account in your name. So that does not mean that you actually have the money. You're holding the check, but you can't do anything with it, so that's still considered a trustee-to-trustee transfer.
You know, his follow-up question was, if you and Aaron are serving as my investment advisor representatives, how do I get money from the account? You know, we receive that all the time. And again, this is not a difficult thing. What happens is we set up electronic a link
between your account with us as your investment advisor representative and a bank account of your choosing.
And we're talking about, again, not us, but us, i.e. being you have your IRA account.
Correct.
Which we're managing.
So and during one of your coaching sessions, we'll discuss how much income do you need on a monthly or an annual basis? How would you like to receive it? Would you like to receive it monthly, twice a month, once a year? We will help calculate the estimated taxes and we'll withhold those taxes for you. So at the end of the year, you get another 1099. But what this 1099 says, for example, is Tom withdrew $30,000 from his IRA accounts. X was already sent off to the federal and state government. You plug those numbers into your taxes, and it will reflect that you've already paid a portion, just like a paycheck. Instead of getting a W-2, you'll get a 1099, different spot to fill it in on your tax return, but same outcome.
Yeah, I mean, this is fun to do, obviously. You're choosing the day, you're choosing the amount, changing the amount, don't have to do paperwork every single time. Life is good.
Tom had one final question.
Yes, he did. He said, how are you going to invest the money? And the answer is, Tom, we'll be very happy to talk to you about that, but we can't do it on the air.
No, we cannot.
No, we can't. But we do have a game plan for investing. Again, it'll be based upon how much cash flow you need, what sources of, or we'll call them, other capital needs that you may have, non-recurring capital needs, how much money we have to set aside, and then making sure that what we're doing is we're adhering to a prudent rate of withdrawal, no more than 4%, so that you can do the stuff you want to do, unless, of course, we have some timing issues. Like in his case, he's 62, so if we may need to pull more money today if he isn't taking Social Security.
Or if he needs health insurance, whatever the case may be.
And then when he gets to Social Security, we could then turn back the faucets, turn on the other faucets. So.
And we really didn't get much clarity on, is Tom married? Does his spouse have any assets? What's his relationship status?
Sure.
Things of that nature, which also impact, just like they did when we were talking about, I believe it was Joe and Sally, where Joe was going to keep working, Sally was going to be decreasing her income. Right. Well, we get to factor in Joe's income because it's still coming in. Into those calculations. So,
what's important here is that every game plan is different because everyone's situated. But what happens is the financial principles that we apply to develop that game plan are always the same.
It's kind of like a formula. Everyone has different numbers to plug in, but the formula remains the same.
Right. And we also have that game plan also needs to include, we think, 4 main pieces, but really to create one game plan, right?
That's right. We need first and foremost a game plan for cash flow purposes, electing Social Security, determining pension benefits, determining your income tax bracket, what other debt liquidations we might have to pay off that are either incorporated into that cash flow plan or are above and beyond.
And then naturally, we also have to have a game plan for healthcare, whether it's transitioning to Medicare and also dealing with, if you get sick, long-term care needs.
Exactly. And, we need an investment strategy to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets that we are investing.
And also with that investment plan is to develop a model that can deliver the results
that you're looking for.
Exactly. And then finally, we always have a game plan for survivors, which is income planning for a surviving spouse or domestic partner, or also passing those assets on to the next generation.
Also, we've been involved in many conversations regarding children and grandchildren with special needs that might need a little bit more attention after their primary caregiver, which may be mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, passes away. I want to sneak in one last quick question about rollovers, which is, I've been wondering why some companies send a check instead of an electronic transfer. And I would say that is because each company gets to determine how they distribute the assets. It's no more complicated than that.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's a mystery of history.
That's right. But because we have been able to engage so many different 401k companies, our client service manager usually has a good idea before we even get on the phone as how that check is going to be distributed. Will it be electronic or will it go directly to you?
And there are some companies that require forms to be filled out, and there are others that
don't
say we can do it by the phone. But talking about the phone, it's easy to do if you're over the age 55, ready to retire within 5 years. Give us a call, 314-863-0008, or send us an email, Jeff or Aaron, at jblfinancial.com. Thanks for tuning in today, and we'll see you next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Be listening next week at 9 for more Straight Talk on Retirement with your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus, on the Big 550 KTRS.